And so he basically developed, got out of the military, became belt rated in Taekwondo, and there's actual tears in his eyes when he described the 10-year-old white kid. You heard me talk about 10-year-old white kids breaking bricks. That was his kid that he trained to do that at the Taekwondo college here. See him at the Eugene celebration. Oh, that's Mark Harris. He saved my life, but he lied to me. Shut up. Saved your life lying to you. So his life purpose. So he's trying to make friends with people who made fun of him, people who were in an addictive search themselves because of their major identity. Their major identity was drug user and a drug using peer group. And maybe your purpose of life is World of Warcraft. I don't know. So what is your purpose in life? Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is not impossible. But not even a mirror will show you your own face if you don't wish to see it. So I assume you will still work on your issues or took this class because you have issues and you're curious. And some people have taken this class to become better drug users, and some people are taking the class because they have an idea something's wrong and they hope they won't have to change much. Some people are taking an easy class, which will let them appear to be present while they check Facebook. Seen that happen. So, self-defining and then defending an authentic self, one that is real and vital enough for you to accomplish your life's mission. So, do you have a life's mission? One of the things that we find where people who have a, I don't want to quote that the purpose-driven life guy, but there is something to that. Okay? Is it big enough to get you through the things that you've been through or that you're going through? The tests that you're going through. So, oftentimes the greatest opponent is yourself, and you think your society is your enemy. Sometimes it is, but changing society is like attacking an impenetrable fortress. There's no such thing as an impenetrable fortress, just a fortress that's badly attacked. And why do you want to attack the fortress? What's in there that isn't in you already? So the great jihad, according the actual great jihad, is the enemy is your ego. Society changes when the change identified by less than 5% of the people becomes the norm. And then it spreads mimetically. Okay? By the early adopters. Less than 5%. So it doesn't take much. It just takes a few small committed people. Just a small number. So, one of my teachers at a distance, Joe Miller, once said, pills are not skills. Well, actually, pills are not skills is mine, but what he said is, you can get more stinking from thinking than you can from drinking, but to feel is for real. So you need to develop the ability to experience your raw, unshielded emotions and ride them out like waves. Surf them, swim on the surface, do whatever you need to do, but definitely feel them, move through them, and then use them. Not cover them up. Exist in emotional waters. So whether it's swimming laps in flat water, running a river, big wave surfing, where is the surface? How are you breathing? Keeping your head above water? Can you go deeper? Face your fear. That was just a reference. Joe's crossed. He's an ancestor now, but 3 things you need for the spiritual path: common sense, a sense of humor, and more common sense. So, someone mentioned PTSD, which we talked about a little. But as an example, Wendy was in a major car accident. She sustained minor injuries. Her 2 friends riding in her car were killed. First, the accident seemed like just a bad dream. Then she started having nightmares about it, waking up in a cold sweat to the sound of crunching metal and breaking glass. Now the sights and sound of the accident haunt her all the time. She has trouble sleeping at night. During the day, she feels irritable and on edge. She jumps whenever she hears a siren or screeching tires, and she avoids all TV programs that might have a car chase or an accident scene. She also avoids driving wherever possible and refuses to go anywhere near the site of the crash where she crashed. So, for example, on NPR, I want to talk more about PTSD because certainly some of your classmates have experienced, having wrecks in the rain and having PTSD flashbacks, because they hydroplaned. Not fun. But, so, this PTSD disability parking sticker, a returning ambulatory Iraq war vet. Exploding car bomb threw her 75 feet. She was in a coma. Came back from that. Doesn't want to approach or walk by a line of cars. Doesn't trust lines of parked cars, driving by them because they might explode. She's a mechanic. Doesn't want to work on cars, just motorcycles as a job, right? PTSD can also happen through daily, what's referred to in the literature as daily urban hassles. Gunshots, sirens, flashing police, or ambulance lights are common sights, at least where I'm from. Suspicious or nervous with police, have a record or not. Avoiding drug transactions, which there are lots of them all over the place. Taking a quote-unquote safe route home, well, that might be difficult because it might not be a safe place where you live. So PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So the evolution, soldiers, heart from the Civil War, shell shock, World War I, battle fatigue, World War II, PTSD, Vietnam era, and through 1980, so long after Nam was over. Disorder can develop following a traumatic event or series of events that threaten your safety or make you feel helpless. The event stimulates cortisol, a stress hormone, which can be toxic and can cause hallucinations and hyperalertness by itself. So like a drug. So what people will do then, for example, you can shut off cortisol with a teaspoon of sugar. Most people don't just, anything that sugar is in, there's usually not just a teaspoon in it. So that's why people get into eating disorders behind stress or other drugs. Post-traumatic slave disorder, or slave syndrome, a condition that exists as a consequence of multi-generational oppression of Africans and their descendants, resulting from centuries of chattel slavery, form of slavery which is predicated on the belief that African Americans were inherently genetically inferior to whites. This is then followed by institutionalized racism, which continues to perpetuate injury. This is Joy DeGruy's idea, but she also is open to thinking about maybe there's other people that this has happened to, because slavery happened to Irish and Scots people as well. It's not talked about in American history, but that's often how Irish and Scots people got here. Gangs of New York, etc. Multi-generational trauma, Maria Braveheart, Lakota therapist, who talked about the Native American experience in terms of passing on the boarding school experience and other symptoms of genocide. So MGT, long-term reverberations of continuous atrocities, slavery, forced relocation, colonization, Holocaust, apartheid, genocide, war, terrorism, and brutality of police governments, resulting in dysfunction, functioning in the presence of great unacknowledged emotional pain. So, PTSD, it happened to you, you witnessed it, you were traumatized by hearing about it and triggered by your own experience. PSSD and MGT, it happened to your folks, and you live in an environment which replicates the original traumatization as part of the normal course of things. War, rape, natural disaster, car or plane crash, kidnapping, violent assault, all those things generate PTSD and also those other things, but we don't necessarily have evidence of that Western psychology recognizes. So, normal response to abnormal situations. Basically, you feel overwhelmed. You're frightened when your sense of safety and trust are shattered, and you begin to feel crazy, disconnected, or numb. And the numbness is also part of the brain's response to something overwhelming. We'll just shut it all out and just deal with the stuff that we feel we can handle. Except you're not always the one in the driver's seat deciding what we can handle. So, PTSD, however, you remain in psychological shock. Your memory of what happened and your feelings are disconnected. In order to move on, it's important to face and feel your memories and emotions. And those symptoms can arise suddenly, gradually, come and go over time. Sometimes they appear out of the blue. Other times they're triggered by something that reminds you of the original traumatic event. Noise, image, words, smell. So while everybody experiences it differently, there are three main types of symptoms listed below. So re-experiencing the event with traumatic, so intrusive, upsetting memories, flashbacks, nightmares, feelings of intense distress when reminded of the trauma, intense physical reactions to reminders of the event. So when we're talking about, for example, people having anxiety or panic attacks, it could be PTSD. So that's often why we try and deal with that sometimes in therapy if the therapist is hip enough to think of it in those terms. So hence, that's why I've given you all this emotional vocabulary stuff, because if it's not you, you're going to encounter somebody that has this, and you get to be the caregiver. Sorry to scare you with that, but that's real. So, symptoms of avoidance and emotional numbing. And increased arousal, difficulty falling or staying asleep, irritability or outbursts of anger, difficulty concentrating, hypervigilance, feeling jumpy and easily startled. So often working with the difficult means that you need a creative way of dealing with it. Yes?
So, a lot, like, not a lot, but, okay, I know this girl who's a stripper.
Uh-huh.
And she was abused as a child. And so, like, what, like, her becoming a stripper, she feels is like her out. Like, so now she has...
She takes power.
It's a sense of security.
Right. You make money, it's a sense, you
have control.
5 minutes? It says 7. Okay, whatever. Go ahead.
So, like, with that, would it be PTSD, even though, like, if she thinks about it and has, like, flashbacks and stuff?
Yes.
Is it still that way?
Yes,
okay.
It could be. So let's get into the midterm and then the preferred answers. 5 views of addiction, sin disease, maladaptive behavior, koyaanisqatsi, addiction to slavery. 3 types of addictions: ingestive process poly addiction. Huh? Huh? Too fast? Okay.
This is all going to be on Google?
Yeah, it will.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry.
I guess I know.
So, when addiction is a maladaptive behavior, it is a learned behavior. Educate the addict. Which one is not a major disease concept and disease model? That the addict is irresponsibly, willfully misbehaving. That's the concept of sin. Genetic predisposition is only proven with which substance? Alcohol. What you inherited with genetic predisposition is higher tolerance for alcohol. I have not ever mentioned THIQs. That is a wrong answer and a discredited theory that some places like Serenity Lane still hold to, but there's no science behind it. Stop it. No THIQs, okay? So a drug is a substance that changes the functioning of living tissue. Following which are not process addictions, the eating disorders. Okay, lots of people miss this. Polyaddiction and cross addiction, many types of addiction, and the fact that addictions overlap. One that is not one of the three factors in addiction, corporate responsibility. Yes, corporations do have a role to play, but I like empowering people. Personal primary relationship with an active addict is a codependent. 4 elements of money: health, spend less than you make, plan, etc. 4 types of money-related addictive behaviors: debting, overspending, chasing the next big deal. Safe dosage for alcohol. O2, basically it's a low dose that maintains your faculties. Of course, if you have an addictive pattern with it, no dose is safe. But if there is a safe dose, it's that one from the science. Main purpose of addiction: to obscure positive or negative internal or emotional process. 2 categories: process and ingestive. Copy that. Binge drinking: 4 doses for women, 5 doses for men, 2-hour period. Binge drinking sets up rapid tolerance. Addictive system: ability to tell the whole truth. The only substances without addictive potential: water and oxygen. Serotonin acts on LSD. LSD acts on serotonin, neurotransmitter. Y'all fairly much got this. THC and anandamide. Process addictions, pretty much got that, except where you put in eating. Acetylcholine, nicotine. Drug addiction, all of the above. The ways of the fourfold way. If you answered this, you got it right. It's in the book. There's that. Now, this. All right, so whether it's, so I actually updated the graphic too, because what happened, the graphic got off the page, that's why you didn't see it. So now, here it is, new and improved. So whether it's 4 or 5 ounces in a 2-liter bottle, it's either 13 doses for 5 or 16 doses for 4. And this is actually the full graphic, so that's why I was looking for the answer 10, but it got cut off in your slide. So, my bad.
Yeah. I put that answer, I put the 5.5 to 10 got cut off, but I knew that that wasn't right.
Huh?
So I think 90% of us did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
it wasn't right, but that's what the slide said.
Yeah.
10 got cut off.
Right. So, here you go. Yes, question?
Okay, so on the last 2,
Mm-hmm.
a Jagger bomb and a shot of Jack's.
Jaeger bomb.
Or a Jaeger bomb and a shot of Jack's.
1 to 3, depending on the recipe. Shot of Jack's 1. Of course, bartenders might actually do 2 ounces, so that also depends as well. It has been great. Go well, stay well. See you next term if you're continuing on.